Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome in today for the 51st episode of the Podwans podcast. I'm your host, Char J. Jordan. On my right, we have Hereth Productions.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hope everyone's having a great day so far. And you might be asking, hey, where's Luke once again? A few weeks ago, he was on Duel of the Ranks for an episode. They have their episodes airing at the same time as ours. And he is there again to talk about more Kenobi. But he'll be back later, so don't worry if you're missing him. So today we'll be talking. Yeah. But so today we'll be talking about season 5, episode 17, 18, 19, and 20 of the Clone Wars, which is also known as the Ahsoka leaving the Order arc. A lot of tears. When I rewatched it, I was still really sad about it. Hereth, what did you think about it when you rewatched the episode again?
It's been a while since I've rewatched this arc. I think it's been since when Disney Plus relaunched and I rewatched everything before Siege of Mandalore. So I forgot a lot of things, and I definitely got teary-eyed at the end as per usual.
Yeah, I would say it's one of the most emotional arcs in Clone Wars, and maybe even the entire franchise of Star Wars. And we're going to dive into that today. So let's dive into our episode.
You never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan, but you might make it as mine.
And we're back. So, all right, let's bring in our guests for today's show. Our first guest, he is one half of Dyad in the Force. He is also the host of the High Ground podcast. And he is one of our close friends. Let's bring in Darthchoco.
The runner-up to the trivia tournament.
Yeah. Hey, that's your other half's introduction.
I had to represent. There's three things I have to do: is looking, underscore gang,
Yeah.
and Con Air.
Con Air.
Con Air.
His Nicolas Cage impression is just top tier. So, how you doing, Choco? How you been?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about this this arc. It's such a deep arc, and I do love talking about it. But we'll see if you guys like talking to me about it, because sometimes I have some takes that other people don't necessarily agree with on it. So,
well, I mean, hey, you and the other two guests will each have their own individual takes on the arc and their own feelings. So, and I know one person in particular will have a lot of feelings, and we're about to bring him in very shortly. So, Choco, before we bring him in, where can the good people find you on social media?
Yeah, I'm Darthchoco on TikTok, Darthchoco on YouTube, Darthchoco7 on Twitter. And I don't post on Instagram. I keep meaning to start, but I just forget. But yeah, I also host the High Ground podcast, which every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Also, as you mentioned, I'm part of the Dyad in the Force, which we have the Dyad in the Force podcast every Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So yeah, I'm everywhere. And we'll be at Celebration 2023.
Yep. And also a good suggestion for you for your first Instagram post. Just post the picture of you and me and be like, hey, with the best Padawan, you know?
Oh,
That'd be good post.
I don't know. I think that's up in the air.
No offense, Hereth. Yeah, screw you, Luke. Anyway, let's bring in our second guest today. He is the host of Too Black, Too Nerdy. He is one of the semifinalists for our trivia tournament. Let's bring in Kris at StarWarsLawyer.
I'm a lawyer on the edge.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. I got some feelings about this arc. I got some strong feelings.
Yes, as I mentioned, I'm just excited to see what you have to say about this arc. Hearing you vent about it a little bit earlier, I'm just excited for you to share it with all of the viewers in the chat. But where can we find you on social media?
As you said earlier, Too Black, Too Nerdy, wherever pods are cast, as Camilla would say. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter at StarWarsLawyer, all one word.
All right. Let's bring in our third guest today. He is one of our great friends. He is known as the Separatist Boy. He is another trivia tournament semifinalist. Let's bring in Pat at St.pat of Starfleet, or St.pat Separatist Rebel.
Yes, new handle. The Separatists has invaded the Republic, finally.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's St.pat of Starfleet, St.pat
No.
Separatist Boy,
So-
and then Separatist Rebel. I
Yeah,
like it.
I'm on Separatist St.pat _ Separatist Rebel on TikTok, and then I'm St.pat of Stars on Twitter.
Awesome.
I think it's safe
Uh,
to say the Republic has died this episode. Luke is gone, and the Separatists have taken over.
Yeah.
And yes, I was about to say, Pat, you must be very
Because of
excited about
Obi-Wan.
that.
Because of Obi-Wan.
I'm sorry to disappoint Beat Asler, but there will not be any women today. We were supposed to have Nedra, but Nedra was unavailable. So, and our fourth and final guest, we bring back to the Pod Ones podcast. His first episode was a few weeks ago, and he comes back to talk about Ahsoka Tano. Let's bring in Ven Skywalker.
Hello there.
How you doing, Joe?
Then
Mhm.
Sure, how about you guys?
Good. How's your day been so far?
I'm busy. I'm glad it's over. One more day to go.
Yeah.
Man,
Working,
Vin's been everywhere.
yeah.
Where's
Where
he
can
been?
where can we find you on social media?
You guys can find me as Ben_Skywalker across TikTok, Instagram, although I've been lacking there, and Twitter. I just recently started. Same handle.
All right, perfect. And now, so as per usual, we have a icebreaker question before we kick off the episode, and everyone in the chat, you were able to answer it as well. So the icebreaker question today is, obviously the arc is about Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order. That is essentially what the main topic will be about today. If you were in her shoes, what would the first thing you do with your newfound freedom be? Anyone would want to go?
take a nap.
Yeah.
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 Relatable.
Exactly. And then take a nap and then go
Yeah.
get some food. Just eat all the food I could, because I have to decompress after that.
Yeah. Get a whole
That
bowl of
would al-
Jogan fruit. Yeah.
That would also be my PG answer.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd go with the 5 S's. Right. You can do this in any order. You gotta take a dump, sleep, grab a snack, take a shot, and find some friendly connection.
Relations.
Company.
For a second, I thought you were about to say the 5 Ds of dodgeball, but that's beyond that.
I was about to say, is that legal on
God.
Coruscant? Like, what's the drinking age of Coruscant?
Hey,
I mean, the lower you go on the levels.
I mean,
Hey.
true.
when you hit 1313, anything goes.
That's you're
Man,
not
how
wrong.
old was that Godel down there who was getting down? You know.
Oh yeah, the hoodie Gotel, yeah.
Hold on.
He was
All
really
right.
getting down.
Hold on.
So, Hereth, what do you what's your what would you do in Ahsoka's shoes if she when she left the Order?
I mean, how am I supposed to follow Choco's answer? Like, that's perfection. How am I supposed to like match that energy? I can't.
I mean, honestly, if I was in Ahsoka's shoes, I'd just become a death stick dealer. Fake it to make it, you know. But
Your
anyways,
first client is Obi-Wan.
you want to go back to the Order and rethink your life.
I mean, I would say like join the NBA, but like WNBA doesn't make that much. So
I mean, what about finding a ship and just getting off Coruscant? It's like, if you're not at the temple, why are you on Coruscant?
it is pretty messed up though. Like they aren't. I mean, yeah, they know survival stuff, but like not unsheltered. Like you don't have support. You don't have any money and you don't have any stuff. Like what do you do?
Mhm.
Yeah. And Darthman86 in the comments said, essentially have her play her own choose your own adventure game with Ahsoka. which would be quite interesting.
I mean, this arc really does show that, like, on the lower levels of Coruscant, they're not really in the greatest living situations. You know, like they even comment on that, like oh, you're living in like this nice temple, I'm living like this like crummy down department that like in the middle of nowhere in 1313.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we first saw that in what was it? The where Padme gives her speech. You know.
Oh, it's talking about the Senate murders and the one with Mina Bonteri, that arc with Mina Bonteri, right?
The one where she's talking about, the one where she's talking about, you know, we don't need to fund. Yeah, we don't need to fund more of the war effort. We need to take care of our people back home.
Yeah, Ven said it's Pursuit of Peace. That was actually our first Grandmaster arc. Yeah, remember we had Camilla on that arc. That was a very emotional,
brilliant speech. I love that speech.
Yeah, and so everyone got their thoughts out. Anything you want to add about Ahsoka leaving the Order? What she would do if she would become like a golf caddy, or I don't know. All right, so
get a sweet jumpsuit, you know. That's what she did.
I mean, she kind of does. She kind of does get a sweet jumpsuit when she's working down below, and she meets the Martez twins later in the beginning of season 7. But yeah, that's beyond that. Let's dive into this arc. All right, so of course we have the plot summary readings, and Hereth, that's actually kind of funny. So
I mean, we know
actually. So the first episode of this arc is insanely short. I think this is the shortest plot summary of any episode.
You got to do Godfrey.
But no, Hereth, I remember there was a thread on Twitter. There's someone that watched our show. She was like, I'm a first time viewer, but I was madly disappointed that I was told that there would be a Gilbert Gottfried reading and it was not delivered. So
you got to deliver it.
Feel sad inside, but you know what? I'm here for redemption. Okay,
you have to do it. You gave it to us. You can't take it away.
Okay. All right.
Headphone warning, obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me lower that.
All right. Thank you. So, season 5, episode 17, Sabotage. Invasion! The planet Kata Nemoidia is under separatist attack. Anakin Skywalker and his Padawan Ahsoka Tano rush to the rescue as they lead a squadron of starfighters to the planet below.
I mean,
nice.
You know what? That's a good 4 out of 5. You know what? I will give you a higher rating. That was a really good Godfrey. You know, I think that's the highest rating I've given you so far.
Are your ears
4 out of 5 Yagos.
4 out of 5 Ubas.
I give it 5 Melu runs.
Okay. I was hoping I would get 4 out of 5 Ubas, Kris.
4 out of 5 Uba.
Okay, so the first episode's moral is sometimes even the smallest doubt can shake the greatest belief, which, I mean, that happens within a lot of people. Like just the smallest belief. Like, I mean, if you're talking about even like court trials, like, I mean, of course you would know this, Kris. I mean, you being a lawyer, that a little bit of skepticism can go a long way. But so we start with this episode. They're going to Kata Nemoidia. Anakin gets attacked by buzz droids, which is kind of funny because in the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, it's the opposite, where Anakin's okay, but Obi-Wan's getting hit by them. So Anakin crashes, he gets knocked unconscious. Ahsoka saves his life, and they get off Kata Nemoidia, which is cool to see Kata Nemoidia after reading Brotherhood a month ago. And because you don't really see Kata Nemoidia very often, other than a little brief scene in Revenge of the Sith with Plo Koon and this episode. So,
I was gonna ask, is this the first time we've seen the Jedi like starfighters? Like, I think this is the first time.
Yes, this is the first time where you see Anakin's yellow starfighter, and so the beginning of the episode, you see Anakin and Ahsoka working super well together to make sure that everyone is okay. That Anakin ends up staying alive. Obviously, you know, them being on the brink of catastrophe as they always are. But I want to ask you guys, why do you think it was so important for the writers of the show to show Anakin and Ahsoka working in tandem at the beginning of the episode?
Gotta remind you what you got before I take it away from you.
Yeah, they got to build up
Yeah.
that sense of safety. You know,
Mhm.
we often see, at least in the beginning, we would see Anakin and Ahsoka kind of at odds with each other because she was
Yeah.
just learning, and it's almost like, you know, when you're reading Master and Apprentice, how it starts out with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon at odds, like very not the most compatible people, but
Yeah.
you know, we establish Anakin has done a good job teaching her what to do, and she is responsible and she knows how to take care of things in Anakin's absence. You know, he's unconscious.
Mhm.
So it's just establishing a really good baseline for how they interact together, the trust that they have for each other, the where how their relationship has developed, and the lengths that they would go to save one another.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to liken it to like a parallel to Revenge of the Sith, plot wise. We get that opening scene with Anakin and Obi-Wan working in tandem together, fighting their Jedi starfighters. They work so well all the way up to rescuing Sheev, and then things start going south once they get back to Coruscant.
Yeah.
Huh, I never
Ben,
really
your
thought about
thoughts?
it that way.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's like an emphasis on like how much they've grown from like when we first see them up until now. Cause like it was, cause like Pat said, like I did draw that parallel after like a few watches, and then I had the same reaction as like when I saw like Anakin and Obi-Wan with that like relationship, like they're not bickering, they're like in sync with each other, and I just found that very like I mean, it's always fun to see them bicker, but it was also very refreshing to see them like read each other without like and have that relationship to the point where
Mhm.
like they can give each other cues without even saying a word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I forgot to mention something. Pat, you have a little presentation for us.
I do, but it's for I'm going to
Is
not
it,
to
is it
like
for the end of the show?
end of each episode type of thing.
Oh, okay.
Not
Okay.
the copyright from Chase. It is a Prezi instead of presentation instead of PowerPoint, so completely different.
Well. So his was at the beginning of each episode.
Okay, this has to be at the end because
Okay.
I'm going to talking about the failings of the Republic in the
Okay. So it's
in
not
the
exactly the
Mhm.
same. So yeah, that's cool. So I wanted
Oh
to
yeah,
just
they
let you
got
know
some
that
failings, all right.
Pat
Oh,
does have
They're-
a presentation.
Mhm.
like their legal system.
Yeah.
Kris,
I'm so ready for that.
The last time I
Mhm.
watched this, I was not a lawyer, and now I am. I got some things to say.
Yeah.
Hereth, you did you share your thoughts yet?
Oh no, not really. Again, I really do like like Choco says, like I kind of agree with his parallel of like it's supposed to like show you what like the relationship truly is up until this point and to represent what they are before, Filoni style hat wise just rips it out of your arms and it's like, haha, this is not here anymore. So yes, I think the opening of this episode is really important to like set the stakes of everything before the investigation kicks off and everything just kind of unfolds.
Mm-hmm. And also, Chase in the chat, it is a Prezi, not a PowerPoint. It's a Prezi. Big difference. Big difference.
It's slightly different.
PP
I
Prezi?
did. I had to skirt the copyright for idea infringement.
Yeah, I mean, so that was essentially the main question of this arc. Just to kick off, like the dynamic between Anakin and Ahsoka, just them, because I remember at the very beginning of Clone Wars, you would see Ahsoka relying on Anakin a lot. But now you've seen her rely on herself many, many times without any aid of Anakin. Now Ahsoka is saving Anakin. And then once they get back to the temple, that they find out that the temple was bombed. And they're like, wait, what happened? And then they find out all the pilot crews in the hangar, and Russo, the droid, is doing all these analysis, and they're finding nano droids. And there's a lot of controversy happening around the Jedi Temple. And that's essentially where this episode ends off. And Pat, go ahead and share what you have to say for the end of episode 1.
All right. So, how to share?
Go ahead and click share at the bottom, and then share screen and I'll pull it up.
Okay. It's on this one.
That's a mood.
A Prezi is a more civilized version of a PowerPoint, I'd say.
It's more
You guys can-
animated.
You all see it?
Not yet.
Nope.
Not yet. Not yet. I haven't. There's no banner that's popped up yet.
Chrome. Okay. There you go.
Oh yeah,
There you
it is. It is here. All right. So this is the Prezi.
The Failing Republic, episode 17, Sabotage. We see a lot through the major thing that to point out throughout this episode is excessive militarization that Coruscant has gone through since the beginning of the Clone Wars. You can see when they bring out the protesters from the bombing crowd. It's clearly a peaceful protest, but you see a whole tons of stormtroopers surrounding them. I know it's the Jedi Temple, and the Jedi Temple has like tight security, but like they're in full riot gear, and then there's a gunship like circling the peaceful protesters, which is like the equivalent of having a Patrick helicopter circling protesters. So it's like, and this contributes to a lot of themes we've been seeing of every time we're on Coruscant, of a lot of martial law starting to build on Coruscant. The further we go into the war and the further Palpatine stays in power. So that's for this episode.
That's it. Okay. So we will close that out, and we will begin the second episode of the arc. Hereth, I will let you take the reins for episode 2, but let's get into what we call the Godfrey plot summary.
Yes, Godfrey.
Go crazy. Get
Yeah.
Go crazy. All right. So, season 5, episode 18, The Jedi Who Knew Too Much. Terror at the Temple. The Jedi Temple is in disarray after a vicious terrorist attack. Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano set out to find the truth for who was really behind this horrendous catastrophe. Their investigation led them to discover the true saboteur, Leda Termond. Now the Jedi attempt to return the temple to normalcy, but first, Master Yoda must give a eulogy to the fallen Jedi warriors.
You know, you started weak, you got a little bit of steam, and then you ended weak, so I have to give it a 2.5. I'm sorry, Char.
You know what? Let's hear your Godfrey impression, Hereth.
Every time you do that, I think of I picture that's what Nemoidian sounds like on one of these HoloNet news that's covering the Senate.
Yeah, that's the separatist like propaganda
Accurate.
when the Republic stopped Kate.
It's canon now.
All right, so Hereth, go ahead and tell them
Yeah.
the moral of this episode, and let's dive in.
The moral of this episode is courage begins by trusting oneself. Again, we start this like entire episode with, you know, like Anakin and Ahsoka investigating the bomber, and then them finding the guy's hand, and then them going down and them chasing after them. And we also get the introduction of Tarkin early on in the episode with with a callback to the Citadel arc with like Ahsoka kind of like questioning everything, and then we get another callback with the second battle of Geonosis with Ahsoka catching up with Varys. And further go on with Tarkin comments that Palpatine rarely does anything without a strategy. How does this tie into the ending of Clone Wars in the latter half of the sequel trilogy?
I mean, the man's got plans for days.
You mean years?
Decades. The man's got plans for decades.
But he's the definition of the long game player, literally.
Yeah.
I want to know how much storage he takes up for all his data.
Nah, you know Palpatine doesn't trust the cloud. He's an old man. He's like, what, in his late 50s? You know, he's not using... You know, he probably has Masameda trying to help him out. And they're both sitting there like,
He's got one of those desks that's like the Rolodex thing.
He's just like, I just imagine him like him and New Gunray are like just rolling up together, just with like their like spider legs.
Anyone else's thoughts?
No, it's just we know that like, Palpatine's cunning. We know that he always has a backup plan for anything. But it's the way that Tarkin delivers the line that makes it really like terrifying. It's not like attribute or character that we already know.
It's like one of those I know something you don't moments.
Mm-hmm. That, and it also shows, I mean, what this arc shows is Palpatine is adaptable. Like, did he know all of this is going on? No, but when he saw he could use it to his advantage, he was ready to pounce. He was waiting for, as Jack Sparrow would say, the opportune moment.
And it's kind of like a return to like fate for Palpatine during Phantom Menace. I feel like just kind of like Phantom Menace, everything kind of just falls into his lap, and he just starts adapting and changing, and it just shows how swift and movable he really is.
I mean, speaking of adapting and changing, it was him who organized, like, obviously the war itself, but now we read Brotherhood. We know that it was him that made the Padawans get involved in the war. And what do they say in this arc? Palpatine is trying to separate the Jedi from the military as much as possible. You're like, oh, that's new. When did this start, buddy? It's just it's really interesting, the game that he plays, but he plays it so damn well that you can't help but respect. Game recognized game.
Yeah, that's actually the perfect way to like sum up like that with Palpatine. Does anyone else have any other final thoughts on the question that's been laid out with Palpatine and Tarkin?
I think we're good. We'll
Yeah,
move on to the next question.
Yeah, obviously, as I mentioned, again, I got a little bit ahead of myself with that
Hi,
description.
Vanessa.
Anyway, hi,
Hello.
Vanessa. Anyway, I got a little ahead of myself with the description of. Again, we have the like Ahsoka like eagerness to like get ahead and like catch like who's involved with this. So you get this like really like intense investigation with Anakin and Ahsoka trying to figure out who's behind the bombing, and again, it just kind of really shows how far they've come. And again, how does this relationship between Ahsoka and Anakin show the strengths and weaknesses of their relationship?
We'll start with Pat.
Yeah. So I would say like they have a very open relationship, like a lot more open than I would say Anakin and Obi-Wan do. Anakin and Obi-Wan are close, but in terms of what Ahsoka can talk to Anakin about and what Anakin can talk to Ahsoka is about, dude, it's very much open and very much informal, which is surprise. Which like with that air of openness, it's really surprised of how formal he gets with the Jedi Order and how much of a rule book player he is in this one compared to any other time when it comes. And that's probably because when it comes to Ahsoka, he doesn't want to take any chances.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
And I think one of the things that you do see is how much of a teacher, or how much like Obi-Wan as a teacher Anakin can be, because when he's talking to her, and well, first you have the revenge is not the Jedi way, which is a foreshadowing for Twilight of the Apprentice, but you have him saying, go be with your friend, or saying to Tarkin, she's still young in a lot of ways, echoing what Obi-Wan said to Mace about Anakin in Attack of the Clones.
And then you also get the most High Republic Jedi saying that Anakin, Ahsoka quotes from Anakin, like, emotions are something you have to keep struggling against. I'm like, when is he coming out with this wisdom when he can't seem to do it himself?
It's always easier to advise.
Anakin is the do as I say, not as I do teacher.
Would you see that quite a bit in this episode because he is informing her of the correct way to do stuff. But you also have to. I mean, two other things about this episode that I really did want to bring up is one, we start with a Jedi funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of misconceptions on how the Jedi view death. Like they don't care about each other or they're not allowed to have feelings, which isn't true. You're just not allowed to let them overcome you. But they do have a funeral that we see. They do care for their lost Jedi. They do honor their memory and honor their sacrifice. And but they at the end of the day, they still can't let their emotions overwhelm them and utterly control their lives. But then the other thing I wanted to bring up is, man, she got framed good. Like around every corner, every bit of it. The fact that you have to go into this locked down facility and turn in your comm and your lightsabers, so there couldn't have been anyone else that wasn't registered in there. And then they catch it on tape, and then have the clone sliced by lightsabers. Like,
You also forgot the audio conveniently getting cut out.
yeah,
Mhm.
like the framing was just like immaculate. You gotta give it up to Bears for for panning as well. And thankfully she didn't end up being a Sith because that'd be a
Lu-
tough one to go up against.
Luminar trained her well with planning things out.
Yeah.
A little too well.
Cops was taking notes.
He's always taking notes. He's always jotting down.
Yeah.
So I just imagine like Ferris is in the next room, just like holding the air, and everyone's like, "How the hell did she get here?" And she's just like force choking them in the air.
See, this that's where it starts to fall apart for me, right there. All right, because as soon as Ahsoka gets framed, well, first of all, Ahsoka is just like doing this while Letta is getting choked out. She doesn't try to like pull her down. She doesn't call for help. She's in shock while all this is happening. And so, and you can clearly see on the video recording both when Fox is looking at it on the screen and when Tarkin pulls it out later. Ahsoka looks terrified while this is all going on, which is just like, one thing is like, yeah, you're a cold-blooded murderer who's looking absolutely terrified as she's doing the murder, like looking around like, what is going on? And then when she gets out, she gets the card, she thinks it's Anakin. She runs. I'm like, there are no security cameras in this hallway that no one could see what was going on.
I have that in the Prezi.
It's just like, y'all don't
Mhm.
bring a Jedi in to consult. Like, yeah, let's have non-Force users be like, oh yeah, only someone in the room could do it. Like, no, that's not how the Force works. And I'll stop there for now.
But that's really interesting though, because that's one of the big things. If she was being held still at the Jedi Temple, none of that would have worked.
Mm-mm.
The fact that she was being held at a military installation is the only thing that helped them. I still think it's weird that things like cameras weren't there. Like security cameras are just a weird thing in Star Wars in general to me. Like, watching Luke and Mando season 2 on like a CRT from like the 4, it's in black and white. You're like, what is this? I don't know, it's just weird.
But I also would say, wasn't it like when Ahsoka ran around the corner, like all the clones were on the ground, like the cameras were like flickering in and out, but the one in the prison feed, that was the only one that was up
Until it cuts out, yeah. But this episode was strike number 1 against Commander Fox.
Filoni was just on a tear with Commander Fox over these like next 2 arcs. He's just like, oh, this clone.
Then of course Ahsoka runs to the end of the tunnel and she's like, I didn't kill my wife. And then Tommy Lee Jones is like, I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that was a lot of the elements in this arc was based off of Harrison Ford's Fugitive from '93. One of my favorite movies of all time, and there's moments where they are literally reflected, like when she's jumping on the tube, and she's she's like running away, and like you can tell that there's scenes from this arc that are very reminiscent of The Fugitive, which I think it's just brilliant, a way to include a bunch of different outside media, which Lucas is known to be doing that for everything when it comes to Star Wars. And it's fun that he added elements of The Fugitive for Ahsoka on the Run. It's very brilliant.
U.S. Marshal, also fantastic movie.
Well, while Ahsoka's on the Run, I was thinking about this while watching it. Like, again, I think it's just funny how like timing our podcast works with everything. I think this will hit different after Tales of the Jedi because of the trailer with Ahsoka, like deflecting the stun glasses. Because remember, Anakin would train her with the clones surrounding her, and then constantly stunning her down. So it's very interesting that we see that in this arc, because Anakin's like, "Do not shoot her," set the stun, which is a mistake on his part because he perfectly trained her to blast stuns back to clones. So
is it a mistake on his part? Is it?
Or is it intentionally just let her escape because he's trying to like keep up the act of the Jedi, or like he's like following their principles?
It's also a callback to Empire Strikes Back, where Vader, says like, "And set your blasters to stun. I want them alive." He says, "Set your blasters to stun. I want her alive."
Luke, get out of here. Luke, get out of here.
Get in here.
Hold on. Pull that comment back up. Pull that comment. I don't want to hear it, Mr. Crashing the Falcon while we were on Smuggler's Run. You were blowing holes in my ship. You and Bale.
Oh my God! I had no idea that he did that bad on the Smuggler's Run ride.
20% of the Falcon was left.
20%
left was left.
What?
Wait. What was your score?
I don't remember.
Because I think the max is 13,000.
I just remember Kris on TikTok in the video, because I think Pat.
The video is on my YouTube, part 1 and part 2.
Stop crashing my shit.
Oh, TikTok, not YouTube. Sorry.
No, but like when you go to Galaxy's Edge, you have that idea, because when you watch Star Wars and you see how many times the Millennium Falcon jumps into light speed, and you see all these maneuvers through asteroids and all this stuff, you're like, you know what? That toxic mentality, I can do that. And then Luke just pulls up and starts hitting everything.
It's not just him. It's also, it's also Bale. That they're both bad. And Hereth, I don't want to hear you laughing. I heard about they crash now.
I mean, I was not
still
that
flying
much better.
a fifth of a ship.
we did fly and we did land. So,
anyways, yeah. Luke, come in here whenever you're ready. Whenever you're done with Duel of the Ranks. All right, let's dive into the third episode, which is Season 5, Episode 19, To Catch a Jedi, and the plot summary. All right.
Godfrey.
How many more Godfreys can I do?
All the Godfreys.
Arc. Give me a break. Okay.
As many as is needed.
All right. Ahsoka Tano on the run after an attack on the Jedi Temple. Anakin Skywalker's young Padawan found herself accused of murdering the person responsible for the bombings. With no choice but to run, she was chased by her master, who begged her to turn herself in. Knowing there is little hope of being cleared of the crimes, Ahsoka decided to find out the truth and prove her innocence on her own. Wow, that was a lot. Wait, anyways.
We'll relieve you on the last one. And
anyways,
also, I guess another 2.5.
Anyways, Pat, before we begin with the third episode, pull up your Prezi for episode 2 of this arc.
You got it.
Sometimes I get so overwhelmed with like the Godfrey readings. They just like take over my mind. Like
it's all good.
Like,
I love the Godfrey, so you're good.
It's possessed by
the Godfrey is taking over.
Episode 18, the Two-Faced Republic. So I have 3 points here, and that's one: the relationship between the Republic and Jedi is now a relationship of convenience. Are we moving to that imperial quality of equipment? And then military protocol? Question mark. So, relationship of convenience. As we get into this episode and as we get more down the line in the show, the Jedi have becoming increasingly their help has increasingly become on the Republic's or Chivi's terms. Like at first, like the Jedi were able to like figure out how they want to help or where they can help, and now it's being drawn clear lines by Palpatine and the Senate, like where they can help and what they can do, which is just starting to get into that oversight by the Republic there, and then and then the second point is like, why is it just now a problem with the Senate in terms of military control? Like, we went from Attack of the Clones of the Senate loving the Jedi being in charge of thinking that they're the best part, and then all of a sudden now they're the worst people to be involved with the military, and I just love it because we know it's Palpatine behind it, and you can just see how he's mastery of manipulating. He like thrust um thrusted everyone into the war, and then he's slowly picking out things, and just also to show how corrupt and easily manipulated this Galactic Republic has become, because he's able to change their minds basically on his whim. And so the Republic is just really kind of crumbling in terms of how their vote sways and how much their vote is actually worth in terms of getting things done in the Republic. And then you have Imperial quality equipment, and we've talked about this. Like, no one checks on the cell sound system to correlate with possible Jedi interference. Like, we know there's been things like Jedi's can use the Force on technology, but like it happens all of a sudden. And also, was Fox just sitting in that control booth the whole time watching that scene, like not aware that no sound was coming out of it? Because if it records sound, he should have sound on his side.
That
And
they
it's
were
like,
they were just chilling. They're just chilling.
they're watching one of the old timey movies, and like, and I can just imagine Fox making up what the people are saying if there's no sound. Like,
Fox was there being the worst.
Yes. No.
As usual.
No.
As usual.
This entire arc, Fox it's funny. It's like something will happen with Ahsoka, and then Fox just randomly comes at the door. It's like, there she is. Like, he does it like 3 or 4 times in this arc.
and I love the clones. I love the clones, but the Coruscanti clones are the worst there are in the Galactic Republic, because they don't do anything. They're just there, and they're just big bouncers,
Like-
basically.
It's like shoot first, questions later.
Yeah.
And they seem like more ruthless, but more stupid, which is honestly the worst combination you can have.
Right? And then so
You don't hear that
military
often about clones.
protocol. So first of all, no comlinks. The Jedi walk around in their interrogation brinks and their cell brinks all with comlinks all of a sudden, and now all of a sudden Fox is like, hand over the comlink too. Like, even like Ahsoka was kind of like shocked by it. And then this is the first time we've ever seen a Jedi denied access to a part of the military system before now. Like, up and then they were running the show, and Sheepy was running like background stuff, like policy. But it was a Jedi who was running all the infrastructure, and then all of a sudden we're getting them blocked. And the thing that really like shocked me the most, or like gets me irritated about, and like throws off my disbelief, is that Anakin Skywalker gets denied entry by a clone. Like, Sheevy's golden boy, the hero of the Republic, can't enter a military thing. The military man himself, he can't enter a military prison.
I mean,
What I also find more disbelieving is that after he was denied access, Anakin seemed to have like relented or given up. Because like if it was anyone else, I think he would have like tossed them right through that glass. and
I
just
wouldn't be
went in.
surprised if he didn't try to go to Sheev. Like,
Right?
he was like, okay,
That's
fine,
true.
you won't tell me. I'm gonna go get my dad,
Exactly. That
and he's gonna
That's
beat
true.
you up.
It's funny though, because we know that Fox is also like Palpatine's like golden clone. Like, it's funny that like the 2 people that are like closest to Palpatine are at odds this episode for a little bit.
Yeah. So it's like
Mm.
I really hate Fox. I don't like Fox as a clone. And so yeah, that's for this episode.
Hey,
I gotta say though, I actually do see it, and I say that in the fact that there's going to be a difference between the clones that are going out on missions into combat zones, relying on the Jedi, versus ones that are stationary here on Coruscant,
Hmm.
just guarding stuff. All they're doing is managing stuff on Coruscant. Like, I think, yes, they're all clones, but all of them, those ones are going to have wildly different experiences being stuck on Coruscant this entire time. They're going to view, I mean, I'm sure everyone, we find out that everyone on Coruscant views the Jedi very differently. Of like, you guys live in this big ass palace, like up on the surface. We're having our power and stuff cut to save money to fund your guys' war, which is happening way out there, and it's just a concept to most people. It's not a reality. Just like for us here, think about how much you know of active war. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys ever served, but like, it's just a concept to us, and I kind of, that's kind of how I see it.
Hereth, I just shared something with you on Discord. I would like you to bring it up on the screen for the class.
And but before we bring that up, I want to make a quick shout out to Brooke in the chat. As per usual, every single time she comes in here, we will have to shout out. Well, we don't have to, but we choose to. We will shout out farfarawayfactory.com. She is the owner of Far Far Away Factory. She makes a bunch of handmade apparel, earrings, stickers. She has Star Wars, Marvel, DC, a bunch of different stuff. You can go out on her website at farfarawayfactory.com. You can follow her on TikTok at bdazzler. She makes a bunch of great stuff and with an affordable price. She has a Brotherhood shirt, which is Anakin and Obi-Wan's duel on Mustafar and Revenge of the Sith. She's got a t-shirt of that. She's got sweatshirts, pullovers. She's got a bunch of different apparel. Go ahead and check her out.
Char, can you please accept the screen share I have up? This is formally presented by our lawyer, Kris.
Okay. Yes. Let me full screen that. So it says my eyes are bad.
It's Commander Fox getting his neck snapped, and then the
I'll zoom
Krennic
into
meme.
it.
Oh, it's beautiful because it is. Clone is guilty.
Oh my god.
Guilty.
Oh, man.
I feel like that one day we should have like a court hearing for Luke if he just said something out of pocket, and we have witnesses. That'd be fun. But anyways, let's dive into the third episode. I already did the plot summary reading, so that's all over with. Thank God. The moral of this episode is never become desperate enough to trust the untrustworthy. And obviously, this episode begins with Ahsoka running into Asajj Ventress. And Asajj Ventress is a lot different than what Ahsoka remembers. And she actually helps Ahsoka out a little bit. And she assures her that I was not the one that attacked the temple. It was not me. Someone is framing me. And this is a no-go. This is not me. And so hearing about this revelation, it triggers something in Ahsoka's head, like, I wonder if she's telling the truth. And I want to ask you guys, do you think Ahsoka genuinely thinks that she and Ventress have a lot in common, or was she using it as a ploy for help?
She was
I think
definitely
when
using
she-
it as a ploy.
Yeah, or at the very least, like when she first said it to Ventress, it was a ploy, and then maybe like later on, like along the episode, then she started to realize like how their experiences actually parallel more or less.
Mhm.
Because Ventress does point it out too when later on when she talks to Anakin.
And then she does act surprised, I think, at the end of this episode. Like, oh, I was actually expecting you to help me or act this way and stuff, like, and how good of a nicer person you can be.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that, from a certain point of view, they've only known her as the assassin on mission from Count Dooku, like fighting and doing all this stuff. I don't think even Ventress ever stopped to ask herself who she was without that influence. She's just trying to get by, and who knows? Like in another world, I would love to see like bounty hunting adventures with Ahsoka and Ventress. Like both leaving the order, like doing their thing, still being at odds with one another.
I came across the best fan art, and it was Obi-Wan Kenobi, Quinlan Voss, and Jedi Ventress, where her master didn't die, and she was brought to the temple in Coruscant.
I just imagine it just being a buddy cop film with Ahsoka and Ventress. It's like two rivals at bitter odds running through Coruscant's landscape, coming to theaters.
Coming to theaters May 4th.
And Fox the antagonist.
2029.
Yeah.
It's basically
Fuck,
Lethal
the
Weapon, but
antagonist.
make it Star Wars.
Yeah, and also a fun fact. This is not a part of my facts for later, but this is the last time we see Asajj Ventress in Clone Wars.
Mhm.
We don't see her in 6 or 7, so yeah. And then obviously, if you've read Dark Disciple, you know what happens to her after these events. So it's sad that we do not see her again after this season. So just thought I would mention that before we continue. But anyone else have anything to add? Hereth, have you had anything?
I mean, I just find it funny that it took Anakin that long to like click that Ventress and Ahsoka were working together. He's in the LTT gunship above them. He sees Ahsoka's with another person who's bald, by the way. Yes, he can see that she's a bald, and then he flies down, he lands, and then the shield goes up, and he's like, "Oh, it's Ventress!" Like, really, you couldn't tell from that far away? Because like it's pretty obvious from the overhead shot.
She did have the mask up, so he may not have been able to see that she was bald.
But you can see.
Also, why
why
would he expect Ventress to be on Coruscant?
That'd be like if I was pulling up and I saw Hereth and Star Wars Theory hanging out, and I'd be like, "Who is that?" Nah, and like it would take me that long,
It can't be.
Ventress sees the Jedi as a problem after helping her. She gets a different view on them until Dark Disciple. Yes, I mean, obviously that was because of the good old Quinlan Voss that we should have seen in Kenobi, but that's another topic for later. But yeah, I mean, Asajj Ventress at this point, it's like she's kind of like Maul during Rebels, where she's like, I don't serve anyone. I'm kind of neutral, but I don't know where my stance is or my position is in the galaxy. So
she's a dark side force user who's, I wouldn't say like, okay, I kind of do get annoyed at like the term like neutral. She's still aligned to the dark side. She's still like, she's just using her bounty hunting.
She's neutral in the galactic conflict.
Yes, but she's still a dark side user.
Yeah.
She is, but she's not. She's just out there. She's just like Maul in Rebels. He's just out there. He's aligned with the dark side, but he doesn't serve anyone, doesn't follow anyone. He's not a part of the syndicates anymore, and he's just there. So
they're just vibing.
Yeah, essentially that's what she's doing. And
also, there's one more thing I do want to mention with this episode. I love just like the whole dynamic of Ahsoka adventures throughout this entire episode. Like when the clones roll up with with Commander Wolf and Ahsoka's like you could tell the contrast between the two of like Ahsoka's like, I'm not gonna like activate my lightsaber at all. Like I'm just showing my hands, and then they tuffle, and Ventress is like right out of the gate, like both sabers activated, like I'll kill them all. And you're like, oh god.
Yeah.
So Kris, would you like to dive deeper into what happens later in this episode?
I don't know whether to piecemeal it or just save it for the last one.
You can save it for the last one.
Yeah,
you can save it for the last one. I feel like that's where the punches will be thrown.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Well, also speaking of being framed, I feel like this episode does a better job framing Ahsoka than the previous one, because like the way Barriss pins her next to the nanotech bombing, even Ahsoka's like, wait, it's not me, and then and she gets like shot and stunned, and they're like, wait, the nanotech bombing, Barriss is just like cruel throughout this entire episode.
Circumstantial
and Ahsoka keeps
evidence.
calling her.
Circumstantial evidence. Oh, we got a tease.
It is. That's legitimately what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So with that out of the way, that was the only question that we had for episode 19. So we will dive straight into the final episode of the arc, which is season 5, episode 20, the final episode of season 5, The Wrong Jedi.
Before we do the recap, we got a Prezi.
Pat, go to the Prezi, and then right when it's done, I'm doing Godfried. You already know what we already know.
Oh,
the season.
we're getting
you already know the episode.
We're getting 4 straight Godfreys. I thought you were gonna get like a little send off of Tom
Yes.
Kane.
You know what?
We can't stop at 3. You know what I mean? You gotta
gotta
complete
full
the
send
set.
Well, and
before.
it's also the end of this season, and so you know,
Okay.
Can't hold nothing back.
gotta end out with a banger. All right, so let's bring up the Prezi once again, and let's see what Pat has to say.
Episode 19, To Catch a Jedi. So this one I titled Manipulation of Evidence, and you guys already see Fox there. And then so it's basically big two things in this episode on part of the Republic. I've always kind of stated them in different ways, but like, how are the cell cameras working and the hall cameras not, and people like not noticing that with inside the cube? Even if Fox is not in like the little command center thing, there are other clones, and like, how do they not see anyone coming through before they all get slashed? And it just, or when they go back to check feeds or stuff, they don't realize that there was a card laying outside her door, or that someone left it there, and that just gets me upset with what Tarkin says in episode 20 at the beginning. And then of course Commander Fox is way too casual when it comes to Ahsoka. Like, he's like, oh, she's running, she must be to blame, she must be guilty, so let's just shoot her, we're just getting her at all costs. I'm not even caring about what's going on. And it's like, I feel like Fox is somehow in on Palp's plan. He knows everything, especially with the other arc coming up soon. That like, he knows everything about Palps, or at least something to that degree, and just either is way more chipped, or like just went on it of his own free will. Because, and then that's the feeling of the Republic. Like, while the clones are great and stuff like that, I feel like it gives Palp an easy way of messing with the security and the law enforcement of the planet, and therefore the Republic. So yeah.
Yeah, I've actually been wondering that also, like if whether or not Palps has like more remote control over the Coruscant Guard, because like I said, like it's shocking to me like how like mentally like incapable they seem compared to the other clones. And I know Choco touched upon like war veterans versus like stay-at-home guards, but still, like, where are the brain cells at?
But I would also say, I know like, this is kind of biased from the Fives arc, but it's very safe to say that like Fives and Palpatine have this like kind of like close knit relationship of like, hey, can you do this for me? Okay, thank you. Like that kind of like this like behavior with him. Also, the thing that like Kris and I were making fun of while we were watching this is I love how Ahsoka's straight up running. She doesn't activate her lightsabers. Like full momentum, she sees like Ahsoka run around the corner, and Fives looks down and goes, "Oh, you must have killed her!" Even though like you never hear her activate her set lightsabers once. She never stops to look at it. She just straight up runs past them, and he's like, "Oh, it must be her lightsaber marks."
Like, here's the other thing that happens in this episode, right? Okay, so Fox comes back and sees Ahsoka standing over these knocked out clone troopers or stunned clone troopers. And then she runs. But if you ask those clone troopers what happened, they'll say they got knocked out by either an unseen force or a hooded person. But it wasn't Ahsoka, because Ahsoka was still in her cell. And it's not like she had anything that could have hit her face or her montrals or anything. So, I mean, like, what kind of shoddy investigative work was this? Tarkin's like, we have facts and evidence, and it'll lead us to the conclusion. You had facts, but you had no evidence. You had a narrative in your head, and picked and chose what evidence you wanted to fit there so you can get to the destination instead of letting the evidence and their facts guide you to
Art
my-
imitates life.
My headcanon theory for this is that Fox is the one who's pulling all the little tricks with the audio, leaving the data like somehow Pal contacted Barris and set it up to do errands with Fox, and is messing all the tricks once he saw where the narrative was going.
Lord Fox came out of his quarters and he just has credits and he's like, "Where did this come from?" And it's like a little note from Barris that's like, "Thank you for help."
Little muffin basket.
And also, everyone, Luke's here. Give it up for Luke. Hey, how you doing over there?
I didn't want to take away from the conversation.
I thought I replaced you.
No, you can
No,
never
no.
replace me.
I replaced
I
you.
am the only one that can put on replacing. All right, I can
What do
only.
you say?
Very funny. No, but thank you guys for holding down the fort. I was delayed, as Gandalf would say. We're not a Lord of the Rings podcast, but I digress.
Hey,
Yeah,
All right.
Luke is never late.
you
So,
came
Luke,
back
where we
for-
left off was,
Yes.
so Luke, where we left off at was I was about to read the plot summary for
Go right
the final
ahead.
episode.
Go right ahead.
And we had Pat do the episode 3 part of his present. So
Yep, I
let's
saw it.
dive into it. Season 5, episode
like it.
20, The Wrong Jedi. Ahsoka Tano captured while on the run to prove her innocence. Padawan Tano teamed up with the deadly Asajj Ventress to find the rogue Jedi who framed Ahsoka for murder. The Jedi Council set Ahsoka, Anakin Skywalker, and Master
Oh,
Plo to
God.
track Ahsoka down and bring her back to the temple. Now captured and imprisoned, Ahsoka faces punishment for crimes she did not commit.
Dear God.
Do I even want to? Do I even want to rank
No,
that one?
no,
Do I even
no.
want to
Go on
rank
the
that
record.
one?
Saying
I
we
thi- I
shouldn't
thi-
do more than
Yeah, 3 is the limit. 3 is the
Hey,
limit.
hey, exactly. This is a record for me. This is the first time for a 4-episode arc. My first time doing this was
You
a
know,
4-episode arc.
I
have never done
respect you for
all 4.
trying it, but I'm still ranking it
yeah.
a 1.
You know what?
Yeah.
I appreciate what you did, Char.
No, yeah, I appreciate
I
it
don't.
too. It's
Luke,
just
Luke,
Obviously,
you just
these
got
two
here.
don't want to
Just,
appreciate me.
See, Char
Hereth,
cares
you're
about
being
the
a hater
fans.
right
Char
now.
cares about the fans. He's not like Luke.
We got Hater Productions over there.
Yeah. And we got Fluke over here.
Fluke. Hater Productions and Fluke.
don't ever bring
And
my
Chuck J?
priorities into this. Don't you dare, Ricky Bobby. Don't you dare pin that on me. Anyway.
I am so paralyzed. No,
Yeah.
no.
No.
I love Talladega.
All right, so the moral of this episode that we are going to wrap up here is never give
I
up
don't know,
hope,
my
no
hands.
matter how dark things may seem.
know
So
where to put
obviously
'em.
we start off with the trial. Ahsoka gets brought in, and Tarkin
Sham
is the
trial.
prosecutor. What'd you say?
Sham trial.
Oh no, I agree. I agree.
Mhm.
How's your precious Republic looking, Luke?
So I
Oh.
all right.
Oh! Wait, Char, move him
Got
over to the right.
him.
Move him over to the right. He's the third in this episode. Move
No.
him
You
over
know
to
what?
the right. all
Put
the way to the
me
right.
up there. Move Luke.
Yeah.
We'll put Ben up here.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Down
anyway.
there where you belong, boy.
No,
Not
go
back
back.
to the
Go
bus,
back where you
Luke.
belong, Luke. Go
No
back to
matter.
the gutter
no,
where we
no,
found you.
I didn't change it, so it doesn't matter.
Put him back
All
in the
right.
gutter.
So
We
we see
found
Tark.
you.
we
Back
see-
to the where you
This is
belong.
how I've derailed the entire podcast. This is how Liberty dies with thunderous applause.
Oh,
So
really, Luke?
I would like
Based
to.
off this comment, really? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to Pat's question, how are the separatists looking? They look pretty dumb as well. So what are you talking about, big boy?
I mean,
I
but
mean,
you're not.
Hey, enough fighting! Enough fighting!
We're
I
not
mean,
gonna.
can
We're not gonna. We're not
Gentlemen, no, you can't fight in the war room.
Yeah. No.
Exactly.
But we see Tarkin. He is the head of the prosecution. And this moment gets referenced in other material. It's said in the Tarkin book. He starts to wonder, because he's one of the only few people, minus Reva now, that know that Anakin is Darth Vader. And he starts to wonder if Vader is ever holding a grudge for what ends up happening to Ahsoka if he blames Tarkin. Anakin does hold Tarkin in a high regard even after becoming Vader. Do you think personally Anakin holds a grudge against him forever for what he did to Ahsoka, or at the time that he's Vader, it doesn't really matter to him anymore?
Oh, I think he holds a grudge. I think Anakin still holds a grudge against the kids he was fighting in the episode 1 deleted scenes. Like
Probably.
Anakin, he's got a lot of emotions. He doesn't know how to deal with most of them. I mean, obviously he holds a grudge against
Yeah,
Obi-Wan.
he does have death sticks element. Yeah, he is holding on.
So yeah, clearly, I think Vader holds a grudge. He's just not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, he'll probably forget. He'll probably forgive, but he definitely does not forget. Or at least that's what he strikes me as.
Choco, your thoughts?
It's weird because I wouldn't put it past him to still hold a grudge, but then again, the last time he sees Ahsoka, he's about to murk that ass. He does not care at all. But I could absolutely picture him holding a grudge for what you did to him, but still want to kill both people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, even in Kenobi, we see that scene with the one scene that we have all talked about and to ad nauseum, where Vader says, "I killed Anakin Skywalker. You didn't do it, Obi-Wan." I still think, even if you go back and listen to the roundtable, I've kind of bought into what you were saying, Brandon, and also Beth and Element as well. It's like I don't think we ever lose Anakin and Vader. So it would make sense for him to hold a grudge. Pat, what are your thoughts?
I think he may have like some grudge, like, but it's buried beneath all the other grudges that he's built on since then. And like, and if you look at A New Hope,
Vaders are built on grudges.
Oh, and if you look at A New Hope, Leia says, "I wonder who's holding Vader's leash." He seems like to be the only other person in Star Wars that he comes down to or stands down to besides Palpatine. And so, like, while he may still hold that like little grudge beneath everything else, he does have this like respect because Tarkin does think a lot like Anakin, strategically and military wise. And I think they should like that one. That it's not the one brain cell of Obi-Wan and Anakin, but it's a special little smaller brain cell that's going on.
Oh yeah. Hereth, Char, your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are just like when Anakin becomes Vader, obviously I think he does have a grudge against Tarkin, but he's aware that Palpatine likes Tarkin, and he's one of those people that he told Vader, "Hey, do not execute this man with your hand and without touching him. Don't kill him." So I feel like that he has those thoughts always running through him. Like he has respect for Tarkin, but he understands what he did to Ahsoka. He knows, he remembers, but he can't act upon it. What do you mean by that?
You know exactly what I mean by it. I didn't say railed. I said railroaded.
Oh Jesus Christ!
That would be a very different.
I come back and you are blowing holes in my show. the hell?
Talking about running
Charlie.
trains on people.
God.
No,
damn.
Charlie.
I was just being funny. But yeah, I mean, it is just railroading her. It's just taking him off the beaten path, and Vader's holding that grudge. I know that
is the railroad bumpy?
Pretty bumpy.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's just a serious question.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, honestly, Luke, stop blowing holes in my show. Okay?
Hey, why? Well, never mind. I'm not gonna make that joke.
Anyway. No, but Hereth, your thoughts?
Well, obviously Vader and Anakin are two different. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna go that route. I'm not Jar Jar J.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah, I've learned.
Yes, you have
You've had
character
character
development.
I have
And
grown.
I love the fact that we call that Choco called you out on the last reaction. It was just perfect timing. But no, in all seriousness, Hereth, what are your thoughts?
No, I think Anakin definitely holds a grudge against Tarkin. Like, I think, like Char said, it's like a very like Thrawn Anakin style relationship of like, I can't touch this man, but I really want to.
Yeah,
Bruh.
agreed. Tarkin's one of my like underrated. I actually like him as a villain.
TK421, do you copy?
We don't talk about that mouse droid.
I'm
Yeah,
too
we
busy
don't
getting
talk about that
railroaded.
last train. It's like Bruno. We don't talk about that mouse droid.
Talk about
But
that
like
mouse droid.
like getting back to the seriousness of like Tarkin, I really enjoy Tarkin as a character because he doesn't need a lightsaber. He doesn't need the Force. He's menacing by authority, and we really
Sounds like a blue guy I know.
And he does it better than Thrawn. He does
No.
it better than Thrawn.
Oh,
better.
I
No,
wouldn't say
he does
that.
it better than Thrawn.
He does do it better than Thrawn.
Yeah.
That's a debate
Yes.
for another time.
That is a debate.
No, Choco, you agree with me?
Full agree. What
Exactly.
Tarkin, Thrawn does things, but can't account for people. Tarkin does it with people. Like he subjugates the people, not, you know what I mean?
But Thrawn would have
They're not an accident. They're not an okay. So I would say it like this: Thrawn does things in the thoughts of, oh, I'm going to do this, and if people die, it's like accidental. Whereas Tarkin, it's like if people die, they die. It's all part of the plan,
But
and he has
If he dies,
no care
he
in the world
dies.
about it.
here's the thing.
It's an INTJ versus an ENTJ. It's
Yes.
Thrawn wouldn't be the prosecutor in this case. Thrawn would have cracked it in like 30 seconds and been like, wait, Ahsoka's not the killer here.
Ahsoka
Tarkin
Tano is
doesn't.
not the
That
one in
doesn't.
charge
If we're
Tarkin's-
not,
of
Tarkin's
this.
too busy playing politics over here in the corner to be
and
like,
that's why he's better than Thrawn. Thrawn sucks at
Ahsoka
politics.
Tano is not responsible for the bombing. of the
It
Jedi
always
Temple.
it always comes back to the politics. If there's politics in better, it's better.
Like it's Tarkin. Tarkin all day, every day.
and I think that's one of the other reasons why he's so respected, because Vader can't replace Tarkin. Like he's not smart enough, dude. Like,
No.
can you imagine if he had to do like logistics for the Death Star? Like,
God, it would
you
have
know?
been terrible.
And to have a strong military machine, like they really needed, you know, Tarkin, and he had his position in the military and as a grand moff. And yeah, he was just so important to the machine that you just couldn't, you know, overstate what he does. He has both the political and the military part under him, and Vader is just a guy that showed. Can you imagine everyone else who this guy in all black shows up one day after Order 66, and you're like, who is that guy, and how is he running this shit? Like, did he go to military school? Does he like what's going on here? But
Yes. Brooks speed and facts.
there's
It's
no
not
Thrawn
it's-
slander.
there's
I
no
love
Thrawn
Thrawn
slander.
way
It's
more
just-
than Tarkin.
And just imagine how
Tarkin. All right, that's uncalled for.
The Ghost
Anyway.
Rider is gonna go on strike
Facts.
again, Luke. We're gonna lose
Anyway.
Atlantis again. With that
Anyway.
take.
It's not. I'm just saying, like, look at what happens after Tarkin is gone. The Empire doesn't seem to like affect, like it doesn't seem to work properly after he is gone.
I mean, just look at the Death Star in Return of the Jedi. It's Tarkin's not on it, and it's half built.
Yeah, it's not. Everything's half-assed. He's very particular
you-
about
I
how
don't
things
think-
work.
I don't
And
think
you
you
can
can call
fly
the
into the
second
reactor.
Death Star that
They did
like
not get enough
it-
metal for
the Death Star
for the
started
Death Star.
construction after Revenge of the Sith, and it wasn't done until A New Hope. They built a second one that was bigger, that wasn't even fully done, and was still operational in 3 years.
I
Well,
would say-
no, yeah, 3.5 years.
I would say you notice Tarkin's kind of like absence more in Empire Strikes Back when Anakin just starts choking people randomly because like there's no one to hold his leash. He just unleashed, just killing everyone.
Yeah, Tarkin's very, very important. Not saying
Enough of
Tarkin
this.
isn't
Vader,
important.
release him.
I'm just saying Tarkin has that way to where he has that bravado. He knows how to pull the strings almost as well as Palpatine does, and it's just it. Tarkin is very important to this whole thing.
But you know someone who's more important than Tarkin?
Oh, don't say it.
Mas Ameda.
No,
Hell
that-
yeah!
no.
That's the
Most-
real blue guy I'm talking
most-
about,
most-
baby.
most
you just got
useless-
punked.
most useless character of all time.
I
Oh.
haven't made my edit yet, but I still plan to make an edit about when Yoda confronts Palpatine and Maz
Maz
standing there,
Ameda.
and he's just like, "Oh God, don't notice me."
Don't be
Just
suspicious.
packs up his
Don't
skirt
be
and runs.
suspicious.
Yeah. No, yeah. But
Just hide behind the lamp. It's okay.
I thought you were gonna transition to Barris. I thought you were gonna make.
no,
him-
yeah, I that's what I'm doing. So I mean, obviously,
I'm just ready to
Darth
slander a
Vader's?
whole. I'm just ready to slander a whole bunch of people. I'm just waiting to be unleashed.
Okay, is it after this question or is it after the last question?
It could be. It could be at any point.
We've already talked about Tarkin, Scrudge, and everything. So we can head on to
No, yeah.
no,
So,
Griff has more.
so we end up. Anakin ends up. Like he goes after Ventress, right? And he gets the information of, oh, I wasn't the only one that she talked to. She talked to somebody named Barris. And the way this scene is shot, and I know everybody thinks that Barris saved Grogu, but like I just think it's ironic that
No.
Everyone does.
there were a lot of people at the beginning that were like, "Oh, that's Barris," and it's like,
She was in
Nah.
prison in a
Yeah,
different
yeah.
location.
There's no way that she could have saved him. A and B, the markings on the like all the doors are basically the same. So, oh God, we don't have to get into that right now. Anyway,
you have something I want.
So obviously Anakin figures out Barris is the one that's behind it. They have one of like the coolest lightsaber battles. I feel like that one doesn't get talked about enough, but like the emotional weight of it is just amazing. Yeah, see, and I'm getting to that. So the question is, Barris's actions may be wrong, but do you believe that her morality
No.
was wrong? Okay, Kris, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Well, I
Morality?
got a lot of issues with this. Okay. So Barris was right that the Jedi had lost their way and that they were being an army for the dark side. But there are so many better ways that she could have gone about it without blowing up the Jedi Temple, killing Jedi, clone troopers, and civilians. And you can be like, oh, well, they were helping the Jedi, so they were part of the problem. No. Also, there is a huge issue of a huge issue in one of the few brown and Muslim coded characters in Star Wars and making them a terrorist, especially one that's blowing up another religious institution that they're a part of. Like, that is a huge issue. But you mean to tell me that she couldn't have just been sabotaging the military equipment? Because that's what they were working on the hangar. She could have just gone after hours, sabotaged things. The planes didn't work. It's a stronger stance on civil disobedience. And that still would be getting her the same charges of treason and sedition. And you could still frame Ahsoka in that way. but you have this Muslim coded character framing another brown character for terrorism. I'm not down with that.
Okay.
And then, you know, Barris's whole line of Saj's lightsabers fit her better. That just seems like so out of place because she doesn't want to be a Sith. You know, like Pong Krell, like he's, you know, he's like, there's a Dark Lord and I'll be his servant. You know, I'm going to go work for him. That's not Barris's aim. Barris's aim is to show that the Jedi are doing is wrong by doing the same thing that they're doing. But, you know, it just seems like two conflicting
Inconsistent.
ideas there.
Inconsistency, you see, and I feel that. I think those are legitimate gripes.
It feels like they wanted to have like Barris have the smoking guns with her lightsabers because that was like the clear thing that could like frame her as the evil person. They also feel like they wanted a lightsaber battle in the final episode of the season, so they're like, "Duh, put those two together." It's really dumb, but like I understand why they did it.
No, she can have them. She just doesn't have to say the line, "I think they fit me better." Like,
yeah,
like they really don't.
Remember,
Also,
she likes curved
stash
saber.
them somewhere. Get a safety deposit box. I don't know.
right. like Anakin said, he was like, "You should have gotten rid of them." Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pep says, one of my biggest pet peeves is how so many people blame the Jedi for acting on the evidence they had and don't blame Barris for actually framing Ahsoka.
Oh,
now, I agree with that. To a point, I think the Jedi Order, with everything, yes, it looks obvious that it was Ahsoka, but let's think about this for a second. The reason that they came to the conclusion is that their judgment has been clouded. Their force ability, their insight has been clouded this entire time.
They don't need to use the Force, though.
But
I mean, the Jedi didn't do any investigation because they go from talking to Anakin and Plo Koon to talking with the council, having Tarkin say, "Oh, you should turn her over, expel her from the Jedi Order," and then they're like, "Call Skywalker and his apprentice to the Judgment Chamber." Like, if y'all had actually talked to Ahsoka and actually like let her process things, she could have been like, "Well, Barris told me to go to the foundry," and then they're like, "Barris," they go talk to Barris, and instead of Anakin showing up, you got Mace, Windu, Yoda, and Anakin, and then she's just gonna be
Obi-Wan.
like,
"Well,
he wasn't on planet at this point, I don't think."
No, he was a hologram.
Oh
no,
yeah, that's right. Because I made the comment when we were making the
but he comes back for the trial. He's not there for the first half of the episode, but he comes back for the second half when Ahsoka gets put on trial.
So you can't blame the Jedi for not investigating something that they don't have the jurisdiction to investigate.
Yeah, with the military matter.
They have Ahsoka in their custody. They can talk to Ahsoka. They didn't until they brought her in the Judgment Chamber, and they had already made a decision at that point. If you already have a judgment made up, the questions you're asking aren't genuine. You're just trying to confirm what you already have decided.
And no, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The only person who actually done any investigation in this is Anakin, and there's a reason they called Anakin in, because he's good at investigation. He's good at figuring out all that criminology stuff, and yet when he presents all the stuff, they're dismissing what he's saying right out of the hand, like all the evidence. They don't even give him a chance to say the evidence.
It also shows just like how too reliant they are on the Force too, instead of just like opening their eyes and like just studying like what exactly is in front of them. Because like, and honestly, like if your vision is clouded in the Force, then you should be able to like pick up on that and then avoid using it. Like especially in like in like this type of crisis where like you're under attack and you're like on your home turf.
I think we're mistaking though what the Jedi were actually ruling on.
Well, they were expelling her from the Order, but they were still working on the information that Tarkin had presented without doing anything on their own. They were letting Tarkin dictate the expulsion because they're like, well, if we don't, then it'll look at opposition to the Senate. Good. Oppose the Senate if they're not doing the right thing.
Now, here's a question for you guys though. let's say there is a crime and a priest is involved, being framed. Would you want that being investigated internally by the church, or do you think they should be
I
tried
see. I see.
in?
I see where you're going.
So
I
I
get it.
that's where I fall back, and I'm not saying that the Jedi made the right decision. I'm
No.
saying with the information at hand, um, and considering all the factors, I do believe that they acted the best that they could with the information they had at that moment.
I'll
We
raise
can't
this.
have a oh, they're
I-
at a
I'll
different temple now. Don't worry about it.
No, I'll raise this though. Okay, so Tarkin says that the Jedi wouldn't be impartial, but would he? Because these are crimes against the Republic. He is a high military man in the Republic. He can't prosecute Ahsoka because she's not a citizen of the Republic.
The Jedi
She's
Order.
under the Jedi Order. So
Yeah.
she can't do anything. They can't do anything without their permission. So at that point, if you say the Jedi aren't impartial, the Senate's not impartial, then you bring in a third party to do it. It's one of the reasons why when you have uh, lawyers that are brought up for, like disciplinary issues, you have regular everyday citizens that are doing this and not just other lawyers.
And I think the other thing is with the Jedi, we start to see them. I think this is a big block to fall, especially with their judgment and stuff like that. And it just goes to show how truly blind they were, and how much they are like the dark side has clouded their judgment. Like it even starts in episode 2 and episode 3. Like it's mentioned like their abilities have been wavering for a while. And like I think it's funny that they built over a Sith shrine and then they're like, "Oh, like I wonder why we can't use like why we're having trouble with the Force. It's because you built your fucking temple on top of a Sith shrine, you morons." Like,
Well, I mean, the
God.
clouding didn't. That temple's been there for thousands of years.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the clouding started a lot more recently than that. No, but when it comes to, I mean, I think there's a difference between saying Tarkin couldn't be impartial and someone like Anakin, who's her master, or Plo Koon, who found her, or you know what I mean. Like, there's a personal relationship there, more so than just being involved in the entity.
Even Mace Windu
Yeah.
mentioned that earlier in the episode. He's like, we shouldn't send Anakin on this like mission for the investigation. Obi-Wan is the one that speaks up for him and puts him on the investigation. Mace Windu was like, I don't want Anakin here. Period. He's like too tied to Ahsoka.
And I mean, so I'm not
Which is
saying
what got them put on the case in the beginning, because
right.
they were like, a Jedi could have done this. We need to be objective and think, yes, this is a possibility. So that's why we're going to put you guys on it, because you were off planet. I know I am a fan of the trying to take the objective approach.
I'm just saying that before they expel Ahsoka, that they do a little investigation to just make sure that expelling her is the right thing.
Yeah.
Because and as Tarkin as the prosecutor, he should not be leading the investigation. Like your
Well, they had a
investigation.
droid leading the investigation.
No, but he
For the Jedi.
took over the matter from the Jedi. He shouldn't be the prosecutor in that case. He should either be the lead investigator and be like the chief witness, or he should be the prosecutor and someone else is investigating. He's just bringing what they found, because at that point he's just building his case.
Also, it was weird that Palpatine was involved at all.
and that's the other thing.
Like,
Palpatine's essentially the judge here, while those other 4 or 5 people were the jury. Palpatine as the judge is going to be impartial. Like, this is Anakin's apprentice. Anakin, his like protege, his surrogate son. Like,
not to also mention the Chancellor of the Republic, which was just attacked.
No, yeah.
Right, and then you could tell by his speech before they went to deliberations, like, "Come on, y'all, you're not supposed to say that."
So
Yeah.
so
So
speaking
then that becomes the point. This whole thing is showing that the Republic is in full control of this show,
Yeah,
of the Jedi's involvement, keeping them at bay, of keeping all of the evidence and providing what the Jedi Council saw and knew.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that goes to stand for the corruption of the Republic more so, and not that the Jedi were without fault or anything. I just mean they were being victims of the same thing too.
No, yeah, absolutely. So talking about Palpatine though, what do you think Palpatine's thoughts on Barris's actions were? Do you think he would have been impressed? Do you think he would have been like, "Oh, this is exactly this just makes my plan even better. Like this is fitting in perfectly. Now they're infighting."
he was probably sipping on some rosé, having a good old laugh about it.
Probably, yeah.
Mm,
Tonneray wine. Like I'm about to stock up on this because I'm a
Well,
big-
Alderanian wine, the finest wine in the entire galaxy.
Like I said earlier in the episode, it kind of brings Palpatine weirdly back to how he was in Phantom Menace. Like, yes, did he purposely do the Trade Federation invasion of Naboo? Yes, but did he also know that Padme was going to escape? No. So Palpatine had to adapt and change this entire arc, just like how he did in Phantom Menace. So it's like this interesting thing. He's like, oh, I didn't have this plan, but I can perfectly use this to my advantage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I personally don't like. You guys are like saying like Palpatine like having like a heavy reaction. I don't like. I feel like he takes note of it and sees how he can use it. I don't think he pays much attention to bears or anything other. He has like no emotional reaction. Just like this is a route to take, and he takes it.
Oh, okay. Then?
yeah, I was actually wondering, like maybe he sensed like Varys's like how she like was in opposition against like the Jedi's actions, but then like basically kind of influenced her, kind of, like in whispers, kind of just to take action like in this specific way, maybe. Because I'm guessing like Varys would be something like he caught like maybe early on, and then he was like trying to see like how he could twist it to like his own scheme, I guess.
Yeah.
Other than that, like it could just be nothing but like a happy accident.
Oh, yeah.
I believe
Palpatine.
he was fully aware of it. I honestly think he lit a fire underneath the Jedi Temple and was watching to see how things shake out, who's popping off. I think he knew when Proset Dibs, the 10th brother, started acting up.
Yeah.
I think the Inquisitorius was set up way too fast after Order 66 for him not to, because Palpatine set up the Inquisitorius.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned it over to Vader. But like he had tabs on all these people. I'm sure he had them for a
he was
while. That's
waiting.
probably all Mazamita does. Is like he's the gossip guy of like okay,
Yeah.
he hangs out by the water cooler.
No, yeah, absolutely. No doubt. But final question for this episode. So we get we obviously get the reveal. Anakin brings in Barriss. Everything's all hunky dory. The Jedi look at this as a misunderstanding. They ask her back. Anakin says they're asking you back, and she straight up says, I no, I don't want any part of it. And we get obviously all of the edits that ever start with this scene, and it's the fact that Anakin says this is your family, like you can't just leave your family. And the scene is so powerful. It's one of the hardest scenes to get through because it begs the question. Do you think Ahsoka's choice to leave was a factor in Anakin's turn to the dark side? I see this question asked all the time. I think it's a very, very important question because it can be, you can make a case for it, but I'm gonna leave it to you guys I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
I would say it's a contributing factor. It's not like the main one, because the main reason he turned was to save Padme. But like Ahsoka leaving the Jedi, like I think it just strengthened like Anakin's like distrust towards them, like since like something he's had since he was found by Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan back then.
Pat?
I definitely think it's a very important factor in his journey down to the dark side, because I've always said, like, Lucas does a lot of random things, but he doesn't do random things without purpose. And when they're making the Clone Wars series, they didn't have to give Anakin a Padawan. She wasn't there in Revenge of the Sith. They could have just kept him being a lone Jedi forever. But at the beginning of the Clone Wars movie, Yoda specifically mentioned it's a lesson for Anakin on how to let go. And that's the problem with Padme. He can't let go of Padme just in order to make sure she's all right. And this is where he starts failing in that lesson. Because if he was able to completely learn this lesson, the Revenge of the Sith doesn't happen. But this Ahsoka had to leave the Jedi Order so he can fail that lesson, so he can become Vader.
Yeah, I'm with you, St.pat. Like I think like we read in the Brotherhood book, he at the beginning, all of these things were in alignment, and so he didn't have to think about it. He didn't have to choose. He didn't have to let anything go. If I took care of Ahsoka, if I helped out the Jedi, if I helped out Palpatine, if I did all of this stuff, it would all serve Padme, it would all serve the Republic, and all these things are slowly heading in different directions. And this is, so he's spinning these plates and they're slowly starting to fall. So it's definitely a contributing factor. But in the end, we know that, Palpatine is intentionally pulling on very specific strings. So I wonder, had she stayed, maybe he would have got through through Ahsoka. Maybe it would have been Ahsoka on Invisible Hand that he's saying to leave behind. I don't know. He could have played it many different ways, but I do, wish, and I think we all wish that like he would make a better choice. I wish he would have looked at that, her saying that, understanding you don't always have to be the Sun Dragon. Just leave, God damn it! Like he just needs to leave and form a private security company with Rex, and just like have adventures, just doing stuff around the galaxy.
There you go.
Kris?
I don't think so. And the reason why I say that is, I mean, obviously it comes after Revenge of the Sith has happened, but additionally, I don't think even if she stayed, it would have changed the outcome. It would have just been, okay, Ahsoka gets killed at the temple, and that would have been a very emotional fight, and then we would have been even more tired by the time Anakin versus Obi-Wan happens, after we're all just crying our eyes out because Ahsoka just died. But then I think that if he had left the Jedi Order and then turned to the dark side, as instead of turning to the dark side to leave the Jedi Order, then I think it would be a stronger factor for me, because he's like, well, Ahsoka left the Order because the Jedi Council didn't trust her and they alienated her and they abandoned her when she needed them. They're gonna do the same to me, so I should just go.
So kind of like Count
was
Dooku.
his.
So kind of like Count Dooku.
Yeah, like if that was if that was Anakin's reasoning for turning, not like trying to save Padme, then I would say it was absolutely a contributing factor. Other than that, I was like, it's kind of like an optional side quest in a video game. Like, yeah, it can help, but you don't need it.
Hereth, Char, your thoughts?
I was about to I didn't know Kris was gonna go there. I was about to literally say exactly what he's gonna say, because like is Ahsoka important to Anakin? Yes. Would it matter in the long term to his to the dark side? No, because I think no matter what, Palpatine was gonna come up on top. I think Palpatine would have probably, like I said, like had like probably have like the speech of him abandoning her on invisible hand, or Anakin would have killed her at the temple, or Palpatine maybe would have took her out somehow. You never know. Palpatine always has one thing up his sleeve, and Anakin was getting manipulated since he was at 9 years old. Palpatine was on a mission to get him to the dark side, and it was going to happen no matter what.
Char?
Agreed.
I think her leaving the order, itself, like alone, it's sad, but I think it just prepared Anakin for what was to come. I mean, before we had Clone Wars, we already knew that he was going to fall to the dark side, and even after Clone Wars, we knew he was going to fall to the dark side. So very similar to what Hereth was saying, his term was going to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
Yes, it's sad, and that Anakin's whole purpose of turning to the dark side was saving the people that he loves, and a failure to let go. And obviously, that was the main point of like, I couldn't save my mom from dying, and I also couldn't stop Ahsoka from leaving the order. So it's like two different things, because the reason why he turned was to stop Padme from dying, while Ahsoka just left. So if it was for a different reason, but it was the fact that Anakin was guilty in the sense of not having the ability to keep her or to convince her to stay. So
Let
I
us-
would say it's 20%. It has nothing to do with it. No, 20% it plays a role in Anakin's turn. 80% doesn't matter.
Yeah, but also to that point where Ahsoka is still alive, and as we know now through the Siege of Mandalore, he knows where she is and how to get in contact with her, and there's gonna be another confrontation, if or not confrontation, but another meeting if but when Ahsoka arrives with Maul. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah, he turns even when Ahsoka's back with him. Like,
I think it has the smallest thing, because you have to remember he has this conversation with Obi-Wan in that lost Utapau arc.
Mhm.
He says, "We turned our backs on Ahsoka. Like, what makes it any different?" And Obi-Wan tries to justify it, and Anakin, at the end of the day, is like, "Well, it's just like if I were to turn to the dark side. How would you feel?" And we get that line, that will never happen, or something along those lines.
Well, I would say he's talking about leaving the dark side. He's talking about he was one of us. What happened if I left the order and left you behind?
Well,
He said if I
yeah,
became
more of the
a
context.
huge disappointment.
yeah,
What-
huge
what if I became a
disappointment.
huge
Yeah.
disappointment?
So I think it has a little bit, but on the overall, him turning to the dark side, he would have turned to the dark side regardless. I think it is an interesting plot of where that's one of the starting dominoes into his distrust of the Jedi and the Jedi Order.
The illustrations coming through my head is that Ahsoka leaving the order is like the Coca-Cola that you put in a Long Island iced tea. You know what I mean? Like, just little bit on the top.
Yeah, it's like the chair. It would be like the chair. It'd be like, yeah, it's just another thing that adds on. I mean, obviously, we see his distrust begin even before this situation. It starts with Obi-Wan going on his own,
I was literally going to mention that.
and
Mhm.
that's one of the ones that starts it. And then
in the Reiko
this,
Hardin arc.
yeah, the Reiko Hardin arc.
Yeah.
He goes, what do you know? Like, he starts pointing out to Obi-Wan, what do you even know that the council isn't like, he's already being distrusted within the order at that exact moment. So, I mean, even starting then and now this, and then it just builds. It builds to the culmination of him turning. Is it the main reason? No, absolutely not. Because he's going for power. He's going to try to save the ones he loves, and that's the main domino. Does it have like a butterfly effect a little bit? I think so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and of course, that Reiko Hardin arc was confirmed by Dave Filoni to be the first attempt to actually turn Anakin.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
checking to see if he was ready.
And I mean, looking at the Jedi Order, they make this mistake, and then Obi-Wan starts to question the Jedi Council in Dark Disciple. So you see these dominoes, these things moving, these pieces moving, and it's like Anakin can see that. Wow, we're really going to try to assassinate Dooku. Like this is happening. Like they wouldn't have done this before the war. So something obviously them being involved in the war is the number one reason why the Jedi Order failed, hands down. And it might have been their unwillingness to change, unfortunately, But I digress. I think it's a factor. Is it a big one? No. It's just like the cherry on top. It's just another thing that pushes him.
I would say to Choco's description, I would say that's just also how I describe the Clone Wars in general.
Yeah.
It does a really good job of adding that extra kick, like, oh god, but it's not at all necessary to Anakin's fall.
No,
it spices it up.
Yep.
I mean, all of this is a plan by the Sith that is thousands of years in the making.
Not even just the Clone Wars, the whole entire prequels, everything in the prequel era.
Yeah, but
it's like giving people like, here's two choices, they both suck, but if you don't make a choice, it's even worse. What are you gonna do?
yeah, no doubt. Jar, that's gonna be it for breaking down the arc.
Well, we got one more thing though.
Oh, do we? Oh,
Pat.
yeah, that's right, Pat. Sorry, or two more things. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes.
Chris, you want to go first, or do you want?
Oh, we need Kris to finish out his lawyer discussion.
Page number 1.
Oh, here we go. This is what I've been waiting for.
So the case against Ahsoka is not great. If you want to say that she's responsible for everything, then you start off with, okay, what is her motive for bombing the Jedi Temple? Like, you can say the means is taken care of by, like she set it up with Letta to frame Jakar and everything like that. Sure, means and opportunity. But what is her motive? They don't talk about it. Now, they talked about the reason for killing Letta. They're like, oh, well, she was your accomplice. And the first thing they held her on was like, oh, you were angry at her for what you did, so you killed her. But she didn't. And you're saying that, okay, she escaped. If the camera's still working on her at the time, you can look at the scene before when Anakin is there. She pulls the key card. Does nobody go check out her cell to see that there's a key card there? Because Barriss can't still be there. Otherwise, they would have found her. Or someone would have seen her. Did you not interview the clone troopers that were taken out? Did they all say that, oh, yeah, it was Ahsoka Tano? Like, they're still relatively conscious. They're moving and trying to get up. So they didn't get force choked out because they're still going. You go on to the foundry, the whatever it's called, that situation where they find her with the explosives. Just because she's there does not mean that she's the one that set them up. I'm sure a galaxy far, far away got some fingerprint analysis. But even besides that, and this is why I'm saying the Jedi Council should at least talk to Ahsoka, because how did she get there? Barriss. But if the Jedi Council talked to her and she was like, yeah, Barriss told me that she did some digging and this is where we go. They go talk to Barriss. There you go. Padme or Anakin, when they're talking to Ahsoka, if they actually get to talk to her, find out that information, then Anakin confronts her sooner. They're just everything that they build the case on Ahsoka with is circumstantial evidence. The most that they see her do is when Letty's getting choked out. And even then, you can see the look on Ahsoka's face, and you would bring up a Jedi or someone knowledgeable in the Force to talk about, like, yeah, it's entirely possible that someone else was doing it, because I'm sure there were many clones that could attest to, yeah, the Jedi weren't even in the room and they threw someone across the hall. Like, it's everything is built on a presumption of guilt instead of proving guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't see that as the best way to get Ahsoka to where she's being disillusioned with the Jedi Order. It would have been much better if you were building up that case for her to be disillusioned with the Jedi throughout season 5 and showing like her being like, this war is wrong.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sorry, I don't mean to take over. I
No,
just
you're
wanted
good.
to say I do. I agree with what you're saying, but I think the majority of the holes in the case don't exist as holes within the case within Star Wars. I think they were holes within the writing of the episode.
Mm.
Also, Element is making good points in the chat.
But along with the very first thing you said, though, at the first episode, they did talk about how many Jedi were struggling with the war and becoming political idealists and bringing it upon Grell, and what I mean. So she specifically hadn't shown that motive at that point in time. She did kind of say stuff that was kind of troubling in that direction in conversation after the funeral, but I do believe the motive was potentially there or could be argued. Probably not well, but
Yeah, but granted, that could be a writing thing that they didn't, even show that. But even Tarkin, when he's doing his opening statement, doesn't even try and make that the case as to why Ahsoka would be disgruntled with the Republic.
yeah.
That's Anakin talking a couple episodes earlier to her.
Pat.
All right, my turn. Okay.
Bring up the
Pat's
penalty.
like,
Let's finish this off.
I need to start now.
It's only 2 tabs, I think.
All right.
Sure. So, episode 20, the failing of the Republic, the wrong Jedi. So, this is a manipulation of justice on the Republic's fault. And like Kris said, I titled the first bullet point, guilty until proven innocent, and then I got fear-mongering for later. So, for this first tab, Tarkin states facts, but none of this time that we see, I mean, maybe it's happening off-screen, I don't know, but we've never seen Tarkin actually present physical evidence. He talks about mind tricking. He talks about hallway scenes and stuff, like recordings and stuff, but he never actually presents it to anyone. And then so when we get into the actual thing, Ahsoka can't even cross-examine the evidence, the military Senate evidence, and even in a military tribunal. That's, correct me if I'm wrong, Kris, if you have any knowledge. That's still part of due process and fair rights for a trial. That they get a chance to cross-examine the evidence, but there's no evidence actually being presented. It's all by word of mouth from Tarkin. She also has a little time for defense prep with Padme, because it goes right from Padme showing up, them talking a bit, to being right into the court. And then also, no one mentioned Ahsoka being off-world at all. The whole point, like we were saying, that Anakin and Ahsoka were brought in because she was off-world on Kandor. And if she's off-world, that means any communications that she sends from the Venators goes through secure military comms, which they have records of. And if they take the time to scrub through the messages, even if she's spliced them and hidden them, they'll still be found. It's the military buffers and firewalls are there that would keep that information. So no one took any time at all to actually double check any of the evidence that's going on, and it's just getting her the passes. It's just finding the quickest path to a guilty verdict, and Tarkin even wants to go all the way to death. So, and then the last one, fear mongering. I gotta go to my buddy Sheev. she is a total biased judge in this thing. We talked about, and Kris said with his speech before they go about. He leads right into doubt, and he goes talking about this Jedi who's been Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, who saved him multiple times, and connecting her to a separatist terrorist plot. Like, it just makes that jump right in one thing, even though it's public history that she has history saving him, that she has history doing jobs for the Chancellor, and he's giving her commendations, and he just automatically links her to the separatists right away, and no one bats an eye at that, and it's total fear-mongering, puppeting, and the abuse of power by the Chancellor of the Republic. And that is it. That is my Republic slander for this episode.
Well done.
I will allow it because it goes with the arc, but never again, Patrick.
No, you missed it when Pat came on. The first joke I said is, "Look, the Separatists have won the war."
Yeah. Well. Char.
Because of Obi-Wan.
You see my name?
No, that's Choco's name. Because of Obi-Wan.
Oh.
Char. 3 interesting facts.
All right. 3 interesting facts about a certain Clone Wars arc that you didn't know about until now. Part 33, Ahsoka leaving the Order edition. Fact 1, an homage to a filmmaking legend. The 4 episodes of this arc are all named after Alfred Hitchcock films, which is Sabotage, 1936, The Man Who Knew Too Much, which is obviously The Jedi Who Knew Too Much, To Catch a Thief, and The Wrong Man, which the episode is The Wrong Jedi. Fact 2, a gigantic clone memorial. The monument at the center of the Republic military base plaza is an enormous slab of Geonosian rock that lists the names of all the clone troopers that fell in action in the first battle of the Clone Wars. Fact 3, maintaining the emotional tone. The traditional end credits music for the episode has been changed to better preserve the emotions of the final scene. Rather than iris out of the end credits, the final shot fades to black. And there you have it. Those are the 3 interesting facts about the Ahsoka leaving the Order.
Could I have an honorable one? Because I actually do have an honorable mention for an interesting fact. I know I'm
Go
not
ahead.
usually.
Go ahead.
This is the first ever Clone Wars episode to have a full orchestra. Kevin Kiner actually had to pay out of his own pocket to actually have a full orchestra for the episode, mainly with the final theme. That final that scene is the first time in all of Clone Wars, and the only time for the animated shows you're gonna get a full orchestra in animation.
Also, another fun fact. This is one of the only episodes where you get to see more than 2 seconds of the Jedi Council chamber. And in every episode you see time has progressed. First there's one person missing chair, 2, and then there's ultimately 3 at one point where they don't have any council members in 3 of the seats. So I found that also interesting. Sorry. Didn't mean to make it 5.
Speaking of the council, I think I have a idea on who voted to expel and who voted to keep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Keanu Moody. I am going to.
So Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Plo voted to keep her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mace voted to expel. Saisi Tin voted to expel. Ki-Adi-Mundi. Let's see. Shakti, I want to say, gave her the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Opal Rancisa said, get her out of there. Depa probably went along with Mace.
Yeah.
Kit probably voted for her. Eth, Koth, and Agincola were like, get her out of there.
Well, which is funny because I'm pretty sure
circumstantial.
after this episode is the moment Eth Koth leaves the Jedi Order. Because he leaves the Jedi Order towards the end of the Clone Wars.
And becomes a priest.
Yeah, but you still got another year or so before that happens.
Yeah.
Before the end of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
You got a year, another 6 months. You got a year and 6 months.
Time is weird. Like, this whole trial thing happened in 3 days.
The other thing.
No.
What kind of investigation happens in 3 days?
Yeah.
Again, corruption of the Republic.
Oh, don't get me started.
He's not wrong.
When we pick
He's
up,
not wrong. If
I
only
have the
people could be
lawyer on my
pure.
side. I
Tarkin
have the
wanted
lawyer on my
immediate
Separatists.
action.
He's not wrong, but he acts as if the separatists did nothing wrong.
It was good corporations.
Hey.
There were no separatist senators involved in the war military leadership.
That is true.
That's kind of the issue.
If I do have one more fun fact to add. If possible.
Hey!
Now there's 6 interesting facts about a certain Clone Wars arc that you didn't know about until now. Part 33. Ahsoka leaving the Other edition.
Yeah.
No, at Star Wars
6.
Celebration in 2015, Dave Filoni got a question: what happened to Barasafi? And that's where he confirmed that they were originally going to have her blow herself up in her cell with nanobombs. And Dave was like, "Oh,
that's right.
hell no!"
Yeah.
No.
And so while her ending is not confirmed, Dave said, "No, I made it a point to that's not her ending, and we could potentially this is 2015, right? We potentially have more stories to tell with the character."
Which leads us.
And there you have it. Those are the 6 interesting facts about this about the Ahsoka leaving the Order.
We did all hijack char segment, which
now,
is great.
now we will go to our rankings. All of our guests, except for Patrick, have been on the podcast, but Pat knows how the rankings work. He's watched the show. He's been on the other side of the screen. Pat, I'll start with you first.
This is
What do you think?
Grandmaster.
All right. Right off the bat, Grandmaster. And might I preference, we have had 7 out of how many episodes how many arcs are there?
A lot.
A lot.
Too
We're on
many.
episode
A lot.
51,
So
and there's
7
a lot
out of
still
all of those
episodes.
arcs. We have 7 arcs that have had Grandmaster.
I'd say we've covered about maybe 24 arcs so far.
And it's about to stay at 7.
Mother of God.
Well,
How did you know what I was gonna say?
Ven, your ranking?
I would give it. I'm gonna give it a Jedi Master. Like it's not Chef's Kiss. The some of the holes do like bring the ranking down a little bit, but it's not too low for me to give it a Jedi Knight, honestly. So
What?
Wow, Ven.
yeah.
Wow. Hot take. Go on Duel of the Ranks and say that. That'd be good.
You'd be perfect.
Perfect.
Honestly, yeah.
Brandon.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a Jedi Knight one for me. No, sorry, Jedi Master. It's
Oh,
Jedi
I was
Master.
say, whoa.
Jedi Master for the same reasons. Because while watching it, I did see like the holes in the investigation, rather than a trial, which this would take years to happen. It's like a week. There's just certain.
Had 14 trials.
Newt Gunray is still out there doing his thing. But the emotional weight, the quality of the acting, all the meat is there and beautiful and wonderful. It's just some of the structure and framing that it does take me out at certain bits of it, but
Oh, yeah. Okay.
great arc though.
I can tell you right now, it's not getting a Grandmaster. I can tell you that this is not gonna join number 8. Kris.
Padawan.
And why did you pick this arc to come on?
Oh damn!
Because he
Here
wanted,
for the smoke.
he wanted to slander this arc.
Here's the thing. I love Ahsoka. She's my favorite prequels character. I was glad that she lived. But this arc and how the problems with Barriss being a terrorist as one of the only Muslim coded characters we have in the universe.
Okay.
The holes with the case against Ahsoka when they could have written a better one without having to make it as complex as a frame job as it is. Like they were going for the emotional gut punch and the high dramatization of this, and they succeeded. But the road to get there was full of potholes, and I should know a thing or two about potholes. I live in Michigan. So I just it's like it's like No Way Home for me. Like, yeah, I got some of those like really cool, those really emotional moments, but man, the way I got there was rough, and not in like, man, my emotions are being dragged all over the place. It's like anger, sad.
Wow. I mean, I can definitely understand that ranking, and that's a fair ranking. You're bringing in real life skepticism and maybe misrepresentation. And I mean that's definitely something that people should look at.
Like, you don't have to have a perfectly
No.
like legal argument in some of these things. I love the show Suits, and I know how wildly inaccurate that show is. But like,
Yeah.
you gotta do better than that.
Yeah. Hereth?
How in the world? I'm not even gonna try to debate that one. You already could tell by my shocked face for like that entire duration of what Kris was saying, where I was
You
gonna
were
go with it.
listening to me yell throughout while we were
I was
watching
listening
it.
to you yell throughout the entirety of watching it, but I feel like, again, writing wise, you can critique nearly anything with like the same nitpick energy to anything in Star Wars.
That's not a nitpick. Those aren't nitpicks.
Oh God.
Anyway,
I do have to agree with him that those are on my master list of legitimate plot holes.
Yeah. I agree.
Grandmaster.
Oh God. All right. Well, Chart.
I'm giving it a Jedi Master. This arc really resonates with me, not because of like what happens, because I saw this on Cartoon Network when I was a kid, and I was just so sad to see Ahsoka leave. So I'm not giving it a Grandmaster. It's a good arc. It's not a great arc. There's some stuff that you have to go over to get to the gut punch, but
No, yeah.
but
So
it's
you're
just,
saying it's a Jedi
Ahsoka.
Knight then, not a Jedi
No,
Master.
it's a Jedi Master. It's a Jedi Master. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just solely on the fact that how much it means to me being an 11-year-old kid seeing this on TV on Cartoon Network. So
I'm gonna give it. I'll give it a Jedi Master. It is.
Wow, making me look bad.
Besides besides what Kris has brought up, I think there is a lot of issues. I think there's it could have been done. I don't know. Maybe
Well,
I don't think it's a Jedi Master. I think it might be a Jedi Knight, to be honest. Just because of everything that's been, because it is a very important
episodes.
It's very important part of the Clone Wars as a whole. Yes, Hereth, go.
But I would like to add, when this
God,
was
yeah.
originally written, because here's the stickler with this art. Originally, when it was written, Ahsoka was not meant to leave the Order. That was a last-second change that they added in the script during a rewrite.
So she didn't die. Yeah.
Because originally Lucas wanted to kill Ahsoka. That was the original ending for her character, and Filoni wanted to change it to her leaving the Order.
But
Ahsoka
George would
leaving
walk in
isn't-
and be like,
isn't-
"So how are we gonna kill her?"
and then
Ahsoka
Dave's like,
leaving isn't the
no. Yeah, I'll go Jedi Knight. It's an important arc. It does a lot, but I mean, it's not the strongest finale to a season that I've seen of Star Wars.
So I'm curious.
I'm sticking with my Jedi Master because I'm ranking this off of my enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
Me too.
And when this
Yeah, same
happened,
with me.
it shook me because we didn't see her again. We didn't know she was coming back. until well into
Into
Rebels.
Rebels.
You know what I mean? Like it was years when you were like, well, that's it, you know? And
Mhm.
I can't and the fact and yes, it was abrupt her leaving the order because they didn't build it up because they obviously it was a last minute thing. And that's one of the things that made it hit so different. So yeah, I'm very happy with my ranking. I just wanted to say that's why I'm ranking it.
No,
So
yeah,
for
that's fair.
personal
That's
joy.
fair.
Yep.
That's fair.
And some of the holes like that, how quickly this fall happened, made it like, what? You've been building me up for so many years of this character, and they're just gone now, and I may never see them again.
Yeah.
That was wild.
And that goes for me. Like I give it Grandmaster because I thoroughly enjoy this arc,
That's
and
awesome.
and it just, as you can see with my slide, I feel like all the plot holes just add to the story for the state of the Republic, and that
Yeah, because it's part of your separatist propaganda, but we
it's
won't.
not
We won't get into
propaganda.
that.
It's not.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
picture
yeah.
of Dooku up on his wall.
Luke,
Yeah,
what
seriously.
series
Lena
of books
Bonteri, never heard of
are
her.
getting released about how the Republic was high and mighty and then how they fell in corruption during the prequel era?
Anyway,
That's kind of weird.
Anyway.
So wait, so Luke, let me ask you this. So where do we have this arc? So we have two grandmasters, 3 masters, 1 knight, and 1 Padawan.
It falls dead middle.
Falls in the middle.
Never mind. Maybe I do. You know what? I'm the deciding factor. I will give it a Jedi Master, and I will make it. That'll push the Padawan has a lot of weight behind it.
Writes the the black votes.
Shut up, God! Why do you gotta pull that?
What I gotta pull?
Listen.
What?
Oh, I thought to join we had to agree to the 3/5. No,
No, I guess not.
Oh my God. Anyway, I will say that it probably ranks as a Jedi Knight because that Padawan is pretty strong, to be honest.
Mhm.
I'd say it ranks as a Jedi Knight as the final ranking. Is that fair? We've never had a debate about a ranking before, so this is quite interesting.
I mean, assign a number to each one of them and just average it out. We got calculators on our phones.
I can do it right here. So,
okay, go ahead.
So let's see. So
Padawan's
a
a 2.
So we have how many Jedi Knights do we have? 1 Jedi Knight.
I changed mine to a Jedi Master at the last.
Okay, so 4 4s.
I'm a flip flopper.
16.
Okay, John Kerry.
Get off your fence.
16 plus a 2.
Yeah.
Plus a 10, right?
Yeah.
Divided by how many?
7.
7. That's 4. It's Jedi Master.
Yep.
Okay, Jedi Master. There we go.
Wait.
4
Are there
Jedi
5 or there 6? I thought there were 6.
Are there 6?
There's 7 of us.
No, not of us, of the
rankings.
There's 5.
Yeah.
There's 5.
Also, we're not counting Kenny's ranking because Kenny also gave it a Grandmaster. Let's not forget that ranking as well.
Oh no! Hey, have we ever put that in? No.
No, we've had before. We've had in previous Pod 1's episode allowed the chat to have interference with it.
All right.
Stop the count.
All right.
I'm gonna get you that Geeks and Gamers crowd.
Oh God, please don't. We have no association with that bullshit of a shithole podcast / entertainment. They are terrible. We are not one of those. I just have to preface that. Anyway, that's gonna be the end of the episode. Ven, where can the good people follow you on the social medias?
You guys can find me at Ven_Skywalker on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
Pat, where can the good people follow you?
You can find me on TikTok at St.pat _Separatist Rebel on TikTok, and then St.pat _ stars on Twitter.
Corruption is his favorite word. Kris, where can the good people follow you?
You can find me on StarWarsLawyer on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. And check out my podcast, Too Black, Too Nerdy. The last episode is our interview with Shadow of the Sith author, Adam Christopher.
Go read it. Go check out this chunky boy. It's great.
It's a thick boy.
It's great. Thick boy. Brandon, where can the good people follow you?
I felt left out.
Oh,
well, sorry. One last thing. Isn't there going to be a big old fat stream with Kris this weekend?
Huh?
Oh, I thought you were streaming. Weren't you streaming Civ all day?
Oh, yeah, on Sunday. Sunday night. What time? Don't know. But Cal, 4, and I are going to be streaming Civ 6 on Twitch.
Sounds awesome.
Have fun.
Oh,
Yep. Absolutely.
Sorry, I needed you to plug it because I'm gonna try to hop in there if I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Darthchoco on TikTok, Darthchoco YouTube, Darthchoco7 on Twitter. Do the High Ground podcast Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Congratulations on
And-
100 episodes, by the way, buddy. Proud of you.
Yeah, milestones. It's it's a lot.
Yeah.
And also have Dyad in the Force Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So we would be honored if you would join us.
Hereth,
You can find me at every Thursday here at Pod One. I'm sorry, Char, I'm taking your shtick because now I go in front of you. I'm sorry, I take your shtick. You can still say the Clone Wars we watch. I'll give you that shtick, okay? Okay. You can find me at Hereth Productions on TikTok, and yeah, that's basically my socials. You can find me at Hereth Edits on Twitter, actually, if you want my spiciness. But that's the one thing I'll give you. Don't follow me on Instagram.
all right. Char, where can the good people follow you?
Good people, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at CharCharJ, as spelled right here. And you can find us every Thursday for our Clone Wars rewatch. Next week, we'll be covering the Orders arc. And
God damn it. This is why we can't have nice things, Kris.
The back-to-back 5 slander episodes. We're slandering plot all the way home.
I was like, what?
Going down swinging.
God damn it.
I'm not going to be on
and-
the podcast for a while, so I gotta get it in.
And you can find Luke and I this Saturday, as we will be on with Choco and his co-host Element 7 at Diet in the Force. We're talking about Kenobi, so you can find us there.
Nice.
Took the sails out of the wind. Took the wind out of the sails there, bud. I was gonna say that, but now I can't. You can find us at the Pod Ones Podcast on TikTok, Pod Ones Podcast on Twitter, and the Pod Ones Pod on Instagram. We should have an announcement that I've been teasing on other podcasts and other things starting probably hopefully next week. So be on the lookout for that. But that's going to be it. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you to the chat. We appreciate you guys. If you have not liked the stream, go like the stream. We'd appreciate it.
Kris,
God
it's all
damn it,
Nemorians.
Kris.
Kris. You know that it's all Nemorians matter.
Kris is having the time of his
Oh
life.
my God.
Oh
All
my
right. We have gone way
God.
too far now.
Ooh.
For light and for life.
We are all the Republic.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.
Always.
See you guys.